I'm Caitlin Stewart. I am the Director of Sales, primarily overseeing residential at Leon Speakers. So we're based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I live not too far, a little bit north of Detroit, and really excited. So we have our whole sales team here. I have a team of 2 account managers that are here. We oversee all of residential sales. So I kind of take care and look over all things rep related, buying group related, kind of helping drive the residential market for Leon.
Tell me about Leon.
Good. That's a fun question. I could tell you about Leon for a long time. Leon is very unique. It's a really dynamic company. If you talk to anyone that has ever physically been to our factory, it is a life-changing experience. It's like a museum of sound. I think when people think of Leon, they think of Noah, our founder, who is just like the most insane creative in the best way possible. And so I think that kind of has continued on since we were founded in 1997. So we're about to enter in our 30th year. And I think the thing that people are noticing about us and where I think of Leon right now is really a leader in design, and not necessarily in purely technology design, but design in general. So we don't consider ourselves a technology company. We truly consider ourselves a design first company that just happens to have also really great sounding audio and concealment solutions.
Where does the design come in? And what is the integration between design and product?
That's a great question. I think it depends on who you ask and how you look at it. I think when we think design first, I mean, we always have the tagline, lead by design, leave nothing unfinished. So we don't want people to have to sacrifice form for function and vice versa. We want things to serve a purpose of being beautiful and enhancing environments while also being functional. I think sometimes our industry has really been stagnant. It's like, oh, it's a black box. It's an angular thing. And the industry has made leaps and bounds and huge strides in incorporating current design trends with the A&D community. And that comes down to relevancy. I think there's a really interesting time that we're in right now where we're talking about how are we relevant to the person that's usually the head on top of the job. It's not the GC anymore. It's the designer. It's the architect. And so how are we staying relevant as an industry and owning more of the room and cultivating more of the environment and leading with design so that people are seeing this not as something that can easily be chopped off the budget because it's an afterthought. Like, we don't want to be an afterthought, right? Like, we all have really intentional products and we all have talented engineers and are trying to be the best at technology, but the design side of things is where the relevancy comes in. And that's what keeps it going. That's why we grow. That's why we still become important. That's why you're seeing a lot of designers here at the show. And I think they're really pushing the industry to change, you know?
Do I know? Yes, I know. And by the way, it's really interesting. So this is day 2 here at CEDIA in Denver, CEDIA Expo in Denver in the Volkswagen ID bus. I don't have to say that, by the way. This is not a sales pitch.
I know, but it's beautiful. It's very well designed.
To be frank with you, I've been doing the show since 2013, and I've done the show from a lot of places.
Yeah.
But I've never done it from a vehicle before. And so for me, this is an absolute joy. And it speaks to your point about design and not sacrificing, because it's interesting to me. One of the findings, I expected to come out here and see every show I go to. I see architects I know. I see designers I know. I see landscape architects I know. I see brand managers. And I did an impromptu ask 25 designers, architects that I've had on the show over the last 10, 12 years. Will I see you at CEDIA Expo? I got a lot of no.
Yep.
And what is CEDIA Expo? And I don't say that like, well, you should be here, you're not doing your job. I don't mean that. What I mean is this is an incredible opportunity for an interior designer, architect, landscape architect to understand what the possibilities are and to find incredible products like Leon. That's a gift. And it's more than a gift. It's something that should be included in their schedule of events. And I've been joking about it, but designers, I mean, seriously, guys, how many sofas do you really need to see?
Well, and the thing about these shows, right, that's helpful for any of us, whether we've been, to CEDIA 10 years in a row or something, is inspiration, right? Like, that's where design is rooted. You get inspired by something and it continues. And so what you're saying echoes something I've been telling this story, is yesterday someone was like, "Oh, like how does this resonate with the design community?" And I said, "They love it." We were at we recently exhibited at ICFF, the Intercontinental Furniture Fair, which is a really unique place for an more AV focused group to be. And the thing that I heard over and over again from a lot of the A&D community that came, they would see the moving art screen or they'd see the lighted sconces. They're like, "I wish I would have known about this 2 weeks ago." And so there's just so much missed opportunity, and a lot of it too is, I think, us in our industry trying to do a better job at explaining what we do in a relevant way and using like the language that makes sense and not just, this has high frequency and this, is a 5-inch woofer, things that are like, why is it going to work in this space? What are you doing to bring it into their world to make them understand that it's important for their client, because their client shouldn't have to sacrifice. And we also, I think, the folks from technology designer were at the show trying to encourage the design community to come to CEDIA. And, it's like, come to CEDIA, learn some stuff. And I was like, honestly, come to CEDIA to challenge all of us, to tell us what you guys need, because that's where it's going to take us. If we want to stay relevant in that community, we need to have them tell us, no, I don't need a black box. I need something better, right?
Not only that, you bring up a great point. And not only that, it's really interesting too, because when I'm having a conversation with a designer on the show, we start off like this, and inevitably I will wind up going to their portfolio because I want to showcase and learn more about how what they say translates into what they do.
Yeah.
So where we are today, for a litany of reasons that we don't need to get into again here, but they have more products professionally shot than ever before.
Yeah.
And I would say it's about 50-50, the designers who choose, or their photographers for them, but choose to Photoshop out.
It's the worst.
I know.
It's the worst.
The outlets, plugs, switches, cables, tech of all kinds, cans, even the lighting fixtures. And I've been thinking about it, and I've been having these conversations, and it's like, look, it seems a little disingenuous if you design something one way, but you don't feel like it should be photographed that way. And I'm not chastising anybody. I think it's an important note to mention. I think it's a really important point, because if it shouldn't be there, find a better option.
Yeah.
Tell companies what it is you want from them. And I don't feel like enough in the A&D community do that. So tell me something. What is your integration with the A&D community? How do you engage with them? How do you get them to challenge you? How do you teach them?
I think a lot of times our industry makes assumptions of what they need. I think it's very much a meet them where they are type of thing. We've at Leon been really trying to focus on where we're really uniquely positioned, I think, as a brand, as a company, to be in places where a lot of other AV focused companies aren't. And so that's why we're showing up at places like ICFF, doing the CEUs, working with NKBA and KBIZ and local organizations to kind of help be in that community and go in and listen. It's a lot of listening. And I think it's inviting the right people to the table. For us, we've seen a lot of success in actually working with an interior design and architecture firm to help us design new product. If we want it to be relevant, want it to be things that they can use as a solution, right? When you're talking about things getting deleted from photos, if things are, the fixture conversation is huge. It's where a lot of the budget goes. It's where a lot of intention and design goes. But if it's beautiful, it's designed and you can see it. Noah, our founder, will tell you all the time, he says, invisibility can be the absence of design. And we don't want that. We, at least for us, we think it's really important for us to be really intentional with that. And so a lot of it's bringing them in, meeting them where they're at, and having conversations about, okay, we know that this big black rectangle on the wall is not ideal in your design. What would make it better? Is it making it completely disappear? Sure, we can do that. Is it maybe incorporating it into the design you have to complement and enhance all of the really beautiful decisions that you're making? Let's do that, right? And so I think it's also understanding one size doesn't fit all. The New York market, very different than the Texas market. They need different things. Don't assume they need the same thing, right? The trends change very quickly in the design world, and sometimes we don't change quick enough to be relevant for them.
I love that you said the T word, because I fight this every day. And here's what's interesting. And is this a fair assumption? That this particular show, you're going to see ideas, you're going to see concepts, but this show isn't really about ideas and concepts for the future. It's what's applicable now. Is that a fair assumption?
I think it's a fair assumption. It's something I always ask our integrators that come by, hey, what's the next best thing you saw? What's the most exciting thing? And it's less of this is something new I saw. It's more about I learned how to use something that I didn't know did this, right? It's I have all this stuff at my fingertips and I just needed to look at it a different way. And I think a lot of that comes from the manufacturers, us having to be really clear about how are we presenting things and creating ways for our integrators to understand how they can use them as a tool, you know? And yeah, it's not, I think it's innovation, but not always innovation in like a new thing. I think it's innovation in thought. And I think that's what a lot of the panels here are talking about, a lot of the product and the collaborations. I think there's more collaborations here than ever, which is helpful, right? Of figuring out new ways to use, the TVs are still here, right? They're just getting bigger. And there's obviously new things, but how are we differentiating, I think, is the key.
To your point, it's not just that TVs are still here, talking about TVs, but when you talk about the concept of taking the TV, which is this traditional idea, and replacing it with an LED wall that when it's not in use as a television can be whatever the remaining wall is covered in, or the same color, or it could be a fish tank, or it could be art. There are dynamic ways to use the products now. And that being said, I kind of want to drill down on the engagement a little bit, because I imagine it's harder for you because it's not like you have multi-line reps around the country that you can send a sample out to thousands of designers. You can't send a sample of your product. How do you maximize educational and engagement opportunities with an interior designer, for example, that will tell you, oh, I just let my contractor do that. I let the architect do that. I let my electrician do that. You get that a lot.
Yeah.
How do you maximize, and how do you do it? And then once you're there, how do you replicate the experience for an interior designer so that they can speak the vernacular, they can speak the language to their clients and sell it with the same passion that you do?
That's a great question. I think it's a two-part thing. I think understanding and having really great brand champions within the industry already is super helpful. People like Tony Sabatino, who is a really big CEDIA supporter.
Love Tony.
Big Leon supporter, has really great relationships with integrators. I think that's the biggest roadblock in the industry, right? Is we have integrators who really want to work with designers and trying to figure out like how can there be better education, things like that, to bring our communities closer so that we can have that like Tony and Rex relationship, right? They work really closely together. I think part of it too is for us as a brand at Leon, we know our products are impactful. We know coming to visit the factory and seeing where the magic happens is even more impactful. So we've been doing a lot of designer visits, architect visits, and showing them kind of how the magic is made, focusing on things that they like to focus on. Materiality is important. Color, material, finish, things that they, focus on a lot when they're choosing a Lutron shade or they're choosing a keypad, finish, things like that. Understanding that they can apply that to other things and seeing it happen at our factory has been super impactful for us. And it's a really great way for us to organically get feedback from the community instead of just being like, well, this is an article I saw in, apartment therapy, or this is an article I saw reshared on LinkedIn, and this is what the design trend is. Coming in and actually understanding what people need and figuring out how it can be a solution rather than an afterthought.
What's next at Leon?
That's exciting. There's a lot of stuff that you can see upstairs. That's kind of what's next for us. I think we're really trying to lead the way and be the thought leader when it comes to building this bridge between the A&D design community and the AV industry. So there are things up in our booth that a lot of people I don't think expected. So we have some really great acoustic treatments that are like hand woven, really thoughtful, dual purpose. Like I said, that's something that's really important to us, is having form and function. So being able to have something that maybe looks beautiful and is unexpected, but also enhances the environment, has a purpose, right? And that's something that we want people to focus on. And I mean, now, if you would have asked us 5 years ago if we were going to make frames for video walls, we would have, been like, yeah, maybe, hopefully. No one knew video walls were going to be this big, right? The next big thing. And so I think one thing that we're just really excited about and focusing on this is continuing to evolve, bringing in partners. So that's partners in the design community, that's partners within our own industry, and that's something that we're really proud of and really focused on.
I love that you said that. And I have a question for you.
Yes.
For an interior designer, and it's interesting because you will see interior designers with all kinds of partnerships.
Yes.
this is different. How would you like designers to approach Leon with partnership ideas? And by the way, I don't ask this question. It's not a throwaway for me. It's one of those questions where the reason a wonderful, incredibly talented designer wouldn't approach you is because they don't know how.
Yeah.
And nobody likes looking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like them to approach you?
So it's really, I think the thing that's great about places like CEDIA and some of these events is it's great networking and relationship building, right? The thing that I really love about working at Leon, because we're still a small family-owned company, is we get to be really nimble. And I think the thing that's great, whether it's an email, I mean, a lot of times it's an email, or it's like hey, I know this person that knows someone, hey, can we connect and just have a virtual coffee? Or a lot of it's just happened over an email. Hey, I saw you guys post this, or you emailed me. I have something really cool to chat about. I've had so many meetings post, the design shows we've been at, where it's just been a casual, like, can I throw something at you? And the thing that's great, like I said, we get to be nimble, we get to be flexible, and we are full of creatives, which is really, really fun. Sometimes it makes things crazy and we have to reel it back in a little bit. But the thing that's really fun is being able to have like a preliminary conversation and being like, this is awesome. Like, I would have never thought that something that's as simple as using a different material or taking something and turning it on its axis and mounting it differently is exactly what they needed. And so I think it's just, we love ideas. We love to figure out ways to say yes to more people. And I think that's how we continue to evolve. Instead of just, making the same thing. You want to make the same thing and perfect it and have things like that. But being able to actually innovate and be relevant is having just the simple, casual conversation. Nothing formal. We're a fun group too. And we love learning from the community. I think that's the big part with the A&D community, especially, with more of the A&D community being brought into these shows and everything, is it's challenging us to think outside the box in ways we haven't and be a little bit uncomfortable, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. And speaking of which, thank you. We're not uncomfortable.
No, we're not uncomfortable.
This has been amazing. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, it's been super fun.
It has. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.